Hiya, how's it going? I'm the Cunning Man. Thanks for joining me. Roll the new titles! New bike. Anyway, today, this week, nothing's going to drop oil on anything, and there's not going to be any drama, and I'm not going to shout at any inanimate objects. Today, I've come with a lovely cup of coffee to have a chat with you in a beautiful place and talk about something that I always find quite interesting and something that I really like and look forward to. So, a bit of a disclosure before we start. I tend to follow a pagan belief system, so I'm not Catholic or Christian or anything else. I follow a pagan belief system because it's something that I feel um, more aligned with, I suppose. That's not to say that I have any particular strong thoughts or feelings around religion at all. Um, it's just that I tend to find that the pagan belief system is quite simple, and it's follow the cycles of nature. We are lending the earth. Please don't try to break it. It's as simple as that, really. And it's a system based around respect for others, respect for your environment, and it resonates with me. Um, Now, the reason I bring that up is because um, Halloween is just around the corner, and Halloween is quite an important festival to pagans. Um, I say Halloween. It's actually the pagan Sabbat or the Sabbat of Samhain. And I'm going to come to that a little bit more in a second. But modern Halloween borrows a lot of traditions from the Celtic festival of Samhain. And we're going to look and have a bit of a comparison between the two. But the reason why Halloween exists is because it was a way, All Hallows Eve was a way to co opt one of the major Sabbats throughout the year that pagans followed um, by the Christian faith in order to try to encourage pagans into Christianity. And it worked. I mean, it worked quite well. They also did similar things with Easter. So Easter is the festival of Esther, um, which is the spring festival. And then you've got Yule or Saturnalia, and that's Christmas. Um, and it was commonplace quite a few hundred years ago for Christianity to co-opt other festivals, and that's what happened with Halloween and Samhain. Now, since then, Halloween has actually become a bit of a pastiche, a bit of a cartoon of itself, and is now this festival where kids are taken out trick or treating, and we all go to fancy dress costume parties, and we put jack o' lanterns on the front door, and we put decorations up. And it's no longer kind of that religious festival as was, but by a strange coincidence, what Halloween has done is gone back more towards the Samhain festival, and I'll explain why in a little bit more detail. But before I do, I just wanted to kind of point out as well that Halloween and Samhain aren't the only festivals that happen in November, and a lot of them, for example, the Mexican Day of the Dead, is also a festival celebrating the dead, and also occurs on November the 1st and 2nd. And, Samhain is always around about October the 31st. And Halloween is always October the 31st, and All Saints' Day is November the 1st. And I think it's interesting that there are a lot of festivals that occurred around the world all at the same time, all around the November time, that all kind of celebrated uh, uh, death and change. Um, and Yeah, it's interesting to me, and I'll look at this in a little bit more detail in a different video. But it's interesting to me that there are belief systems that share commonalities throughout their whole system of belief, where when those belief systems were the major belief systems, they can't have known about one another. So how did they come up with the same ideas? I think that's quite interesting. But anyway, back to Samhain. So Samhain is the festival. Is the eighth major Sabbath throughout the year, and it's the festival where we move from autumn into winter. And for the Celtic pagans, it was the New Year. So if you like, Samhain the 31st was New Year's Eve, and the day after is New Year's Day. Okay, to put it into modern terminology. Um, so it was a time that we were moving from autumn into winter, and it was a time where food was becoming more scarce, and you knew you were going into a period where food was going to become very scarce for the next few months because winter was happening. So no more fruits and berries, no more animals because they were hibernating. So no hunting, no gathering, and it's very difficult to grow uh, anything edible through the winter season because of frost and so on. And yes, there are vegetables that grow during that time, but they're very difficult to grow because a single frost can ruin them. Um, so you knew you were going into a period where you were going to have to be quite frugal and be careful about what you were eating and save things up. And the final Sabbath of the year, the Halloween Sabbath, was a big feast, and they used to light fires, which sort of symbolised the end of long nights and so on. And there were big fire festivals, and people would go and have big parties and feast. Now, interestingly, coming up to the Sabbath or coming up to Samhain, people would decorate their houses with scary um, decorations, and that was because the festival of Samhain was the point at which the veil between light and dark, or this world and the spirit world, was at its thinnest, and it was thought that evil spirits could come through. So they would decorate their house with scary images to scare off um, the um, the evil spirits coming through. The Cunning Folk did a lot of work around this time, um, giving people decorations and putting witches' marks in people's houses, and giving out advice. One of those pieces of advice, rather interestingly, was around this time of year, always keep a cider jug or a beer jug full of urine or pee by your front door. And the thinking was that any evil entity coming in your house would want to steal from you. And the first thing that they came across, they would taste to, nick it. So if you put a bottle of pee by your front door, any witches or evil spirits coming in would take the pee and drink it and be disgusted, and they would leave. Now, a little bit of a misnomer is that the jack o' lantern. People think that the jack o' lantern is related to that thing of carving scary faces on things, and there's not a lot of evidence around that. Actually, it's more likely an American thing um, that came along with Halloween, because there isn't much evidence of carving of vegetables at that point in time, because you wouldn't. You'd eat the vegetables because you were coming into a period of scarcity. But you would carve masks and pieces of wood and hang those around your house. So there we have the modern Halloween where we all decorate our houses and put skeletons out in front of our houses and all that. That's come back, which is quite interesting. Um, then you would have the Samhain feast, the fire feasts and stuff like that, and that that's come back. We all go off to Halloween parties, don't we? Which is lovely. And finally, is this idea of fancy dress parties. So around the time where Samhain was celebrated, on the night of Samhain, people would dress up in scary costumes, and it was because it was that veil thinning thing. They thought that if they dressed up as a scary figure, um, then any scary figures coming through would just go, "Oh, he's another one of us," or "She's one of us," and they'd leave you alone. So Halloween's quite an interesting time, and I love the fact that after 2,000 years or so, maybe less than that, maybe sort of 500-600 years of the festival being co-opted into Halloween and being a kind of a religious festival, I love the fact that it found itself again and it's become what it always was. Yes, for different reasons. I mean, we don't have scarcity through winter. Yes, we do have cold and all the rest of it, but we're not going to starve. And yeah, I just think it's lovely that it's come back in a form that our ancestors from many, many generations ago would recognise. I think that's lovely. But the other thing about Samhain as a festival, which I like, is that it's a time of setting goals. So much like nowadays in modern culture, we have New Year's resolutions. At Samhain, it was a time to set new goals and set yourself new challenges. And there is a reason why I bring that up. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I had to get something out. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Yeah. The reason I bring that up, setting new goals and all of that kind of thing, is that this year's been a good year for me. I've got a new bike. Um, I've started the YouTube channel. I'm uh, getting myself much healthier. I'm feeling much better in myself. So I've had a good year, and that's made me want to think about setting some targets for next year. And I think we already know, or the next year coming. And I think we already know that I plan to go off and do more camping and ride my bike more and go off and have more adventures and all that sort of stuff. And so I've talked about that. And I've talked about wanting to change my life. But I've got something that I want to thank you guys for. The people that watch me regularly. One, the idea of doing a short every day was quite a difficult thought for me at one point because it takes a lot of thought to think up something to say that's good enough to put out, and some of you may disagree, but that's good enough to put out on a daily basis really kind of gets your creative juices flowing, and you're constantly kind of thinking and watching and noticing more. And I feel much more engaged with the world because of that. And I do things more in order to make the shorts that I enjoy. Like I go up to the beautiful place and I go for a drive and have a nice cup of coffee, or I go for riding a bike, and all of that is in order to kind of make the shorts. And so that's one thing that I really enjoy. The other thing is making the long form videos has taken me back to something I used to love. So when I was a kid and I was in school, I took leisure studies when I was in senior school. And I mean, they don't even do it anymore, but it was filmmaking, photography, and media. So uh, very different back in the 1980s when I was in school. Media was a different thing. It certainly wasn't social media. That didn't exist. But it was around, filmmaking, advertising, and all that sort of stuff. And I loved that course. I enjoyed it so much. Back then, we used SLR cameras and we learned how to develop photographs in dark rooms. We used very early video cameras that I used to get given quite a lot because I was one of the only kids in the class that was strong enough to carry it because it was like massive. And we used to go off making films and all of that sort of stuff. And then a little bit later, me and Craig, we got into making like short films and stuff like that. Sadly, none of them exist anymore. But we used to go off with a early sort of home video camera, and we'd make silly little films and stuff like that. And it was so much fun, and really, really enjoyed doing it. And then later, when my son was born, my son got very into photography in his early teens. And I found photography again back then, and I went and bought myself a bridge camera. And I spent quite a while doing a lot of photography with my son, going off and taking photographs. And he's in his 30s now, and he lives quite a long way away from me. So I hadn't done any media filming content photographs, anything like that for quite some time. And then started the YouTube channel. Like I said, I started one before, didn't go very far, and I gave it up fairly quickly. This one, I mean, I've already been doing this now since July, and it's nearly November. So uh, I think it's something that I've got into. I've certainly formed a habit around it, and I enjoy it. And I'm getting more subscribers. I'm up to, I think at this point, I'm up to 76 or 77 subscribers, which to me is massive. I mean, it may sound rubbish to most people, but to me, 76 people want to see when I post stuff. And I get good views on the shorts, and I get good views on the long form stuff. A couple of my videos have had 100 views, which to me feels massive. I don't think I'm ever going to be like Matt Armstrong or anything like that, but to me, I like the thought that 100 people have watched what I've filmed, and it's given me that passion back for photography, videography, and the media stuff. Um, and so my Samhain sort of New Year's promise, if you like, that thing of setting a new goal, is that I want to get better at doing that. And I'm trying to get better. I hope the videos have got better since I've started. You'll have to tell me in the comments below. But yeah, I'm trying to get better at that stuff. And one of the things that I want to do is start to take stills photographs again, because I've had an idea of something nice that I'd like to do around my house as well. So yeah, with that in mind, I've gone off as a little Samhain gift to myself, and I've got myself a Panasonic Lumix G5 mirrorless interchangeable lens camera, which I'm very, very pleased with. Now, these things, for any of you that are interested, and again, not a photography channel, but for any of you that are interested, these are on eBay. You can buy them secondhand, which is where I bought this one from, for roughly £100. They're really reasonably priced now compared to the modern cameras. I mean, these were made in 2012, 2013. They still do exactly the same as modern cameras. Um, yeah, so I bought myself a camera to start doing some stills photography. Now, the reason that I thought I'd tell you guys about it is because this camera is also a camera that a lot of content creators use to make their videos. So I'm also going to be experimenting with making better videos with this camera, because it films in 1080p, and you've got more options with lenses and manipulation of the video and editing and so on. So hopefully my videos are going to get better, and that's a Samhain promise to my YouTube community. But anyway, yeah, that's it for today. I was going to go and walk around a beautiful place with you and talk about this stuff, but unfortunately, I've had a cold. I do feel better today. I've had a cold. I was feeling really rough. And so I've come out in the car rather than going on the bike. And then when I got here, it started to pour with rain. So I thought I would talk to you in the car instead. And as you can tell, in the greatest traditions of Sod's Law, blazing sunshine's come out. Look at that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and share the video. And I will catch you next week.